Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the Newark and Sherwood series, a district of 84 civil parishes right in the centre of Nottinghamshire. Come with me as we delve into one of them. Hello everyone, this week we continue our drive south from Balderton to explore a large chunk of land which used to be part of Balderton Parish. These days it's its own thing. It's extremely residential, but it's had a very storied past by all accounts. This is Fernwood. This Newark and Sherwood video is sponsored by Past Days, a family history blog by June Terrington. You'll find a link in the description. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. Welcome to Fernwood, a parish of Newark and Sherwood which used to be part of Balderton, but has since split from its much larger neighbour. It's based around a building which once formed part of a mental hospital, known to the locals as Balderton Asylum. When the hospital closed, the vast majority of it was demolished. In its place, houses and flats appeared, lots of them. Fernwood is overwhelmingly residential now, and it's getting bigger. As it does, it's becoming much more self-sufficient, with lots of its own amenities. There are some notable landmarks though within the housing, one of which is a tall, eerie-looking abandoned structure, which was once part of the hospital. Fernwood also has some RAF history as well. This was the location of RAF Balderton, the airbase where Sir Frank Whittle tested the jet engine during the 1940s. The majority of the airfield is now either agricultural fields or a gypsum quarry, but there are clues around Fernwood as to its RAF past, if you know where to go. In short, Fernwood is a former piece of Balderton that's literally built on modern history. There's way more than meets the eye in this one of Newark's newest villages. Let's go and check it all out. We begin by completing the drive we started last week in Balderton. After crossing the A1, we enter Fernwood village and we're heading for Balderton Hall. More accurately, we're heading for Balderton New Hall. It's a large private house which was built in 1840 for Thomas Spragging Godfrey. Godfrey was High Sheriff of Nottinghamshire in 1853 and he died at Balderton New Hall in 1877. 3 years after his death, the hall was advertised for sale. After a few owners, it was eventually bought in 1930 by Nottinghamshire County Council for conversion to a mental hospital known as Balderton Asylum. The hospital was opened for patients in 1957 and it lasted until 1993. There were several other buildings which formed part of it. The vast majority of the hospital buildings have now been demolished and replaced with housing, but the ever-imposing hall remains. So whilst Balderton Hall is the biggest and probably the most important landmark in Fernwood. There's plenty more to see here, and this little courtyard area in front of it has got quite a lot. This is very much the village centre. We've got a day nursery over there. There's the village hall, which I'll talk a little bit about in a moment, just here. And then there's a row of shops. You can see in front of me here there's a one stop. There's a couple of the shops. There's a I can't quite remember what they are. Let me just go up here a little bit. There you can see them. So there's a vet. I'm not sure what the end shop is over there. I think it's some kind of takeaway or something. I'm not totally sure. And then there's another one at the back of the one stop over there. So there's plenty here, lots of amenities in Fernwood village centre. Okay, let's talk a bit about the village hall and then we'll get walking. Fernwood has come a long way since the first houses were built on the site of the hospital. It now has a village hall, this building right here. This features a large main hall which holds between 100 and 150 people. On the wall is the parish notice board, and you can tick this one off your list, folks. Just before we start walking around, I checked out what was behind the one stop. It turned out to be a micro pub, Bruce Brothers. Next, we walk through a park. This has got some good features like a playground and some tennis courts. There's also a small conservation area. Out onto the other side we have Dale Way. Here you can catch a bus, the 341 no less, which runs between Newark and Barnby in the Willows. And then we hit the meadow, a flat open space flanked to the south by an area of woodland known as the Fernwood RAF Woods. So I think I've just gained a fan here in Fernwood. I've just been talking to a lovely lady with a lovely dog, a lovely little dog, who was sort of getting in the shop, but I don't mind that. I love seeing dogs. I love meeting friendly dogs. They're fantastic. And yeah, I told her what this is all about, and I actually managed to get a bit of information from her actually, which was good. Two things in fact. Firstly, where I'm standing here, there are some foundations of the former RAF Balderton somewhere. I'm not quite sure where, but if I keep walking around I may find them. Also, in the distance behind the woods, you might be able to hear, if I just shut up for a second, sort of, some construction work going on, because Fernwood is growing. It's getting bigger. It's constantly expanding, and apparently there's going to be 1,800 houses to the south of the current Fernwood village to add on to what's already here. So it's going to be a huge village eventually. Might even be the size of Balderton by the time it's finished. So ever since the hospital was demolished, Fernwood has become primarily residential. Most of its houses look like the ones you see here, new builds. However, there are some much older houses. All you have to do to find them is walk along Hollow Dyke Lane around the edge of the village. If you do that, you'll find Spring Drive. These houses predate most of the village. I found a great picture which illustrates this, and I'll show it to you later when we talk a bit more about RAF Balderton. If you walk a little further up the road, you'll come to one of Fernwood's newest parts. Some of these newer streets pay homage to the local history. This one's called Whittle Way, a reference to Sir Frank Whittle, who was linked with the RAF base. His Meteor and Vickers Wellington W5389G jet engines were test flown from RAF Balderton during 1943 and 1944. So even though this one's quite small, it was quite a difficult route to plan, because as you've seen, Fernwood is mainly housing. It's mainly residential these days, and of course all the streets look similar. They've all got this sort of same style, ish. They're all new builds, aren't they? And we know already, because we've discussed it already, that Fernwood is getting bigger. It will be getting much larger very soon. But of course, as places expand, they become a little less residential. And one thing that's gone up quite recently is this school right here. Fernwood now has a school of its own. I'll just get a bit closer so you can see it. There you go. One of the only buildings left from the days of the hospital stands on Goldstraw Lane. This is Fernwood Clock Water Tower. An imposing structure, this supplied water to Balderton Asylum. It stands 26 metres tall, making it the tallest building in Fernwood. It's so big you can see this from the A1 and the East Coast Main Line. It was originally built as a chimney, and it now stands abandoned. I've already made a Tales from the Village Green episode about the tower, so as such I'm not lingering here for too long. That video is linked below. Moving on, we're now on Dale Crescent, another area of older housing predating most of the village. There's a small green with a park here. And there's also something I never expected to find in a village full of new builds, a George V pillar box. How about that, eh? Okay, via a short footpath, we've hit the A1's junction here with Fernwood and Balderton. So if you were coming off the A1 southbound, you'd come down here, like this car is about to this roundabout. You turn left for Fernwood and right for Balderton. Now our next landmark is across this roundabout, and it's a pub called the Tawny Owl. Fernwood Business Park is exactly that at the moment, an area of businesses. However, Strawson's property will soon be adding yet more houses here. At present, the park has the Tawny Owl, a family-orientated Marston's pub, and behind that there's a gym called Code Fitness. Here's Fernwood Business Centre, a block of modern offices. As well as houses, there's more offices set to be added onto this estate as well. There's also Souther's School here. The school is a brand new, purpose-built, state-of-the-art building completed in the summer of 2020. That makes it the newest school in Newark. It has a Latin motto, Sapientia, Scientia, Aequitas, which means wisdom, knowledge, fairness. And lastly, here's a care home, Lancaster Grange, most likely named thanks to it being located on part of the former RAF Balderton. And this little industrial estate, this industrial area, also includes a little lake, but I'm not going to walk around that. It doesn't seem to be anything of any particular interest, so I've kind of left that out. Now, this piece of land in the middle, I don't know if this is former RAF, but these stones suggest to me that it could well be. You often find these on the perimeter of former RAF bases. So I wonder if this was all part of the RAF base. It might have been. It was quite a big base by all accounts. Most of it, though, is off limits, I'm afraid, and I won't be able to show you it because it's either agricultural fields now or it's part of a quarry. So unfortunately I won't be able to get to, you know, the main sort of RAF Balderton because it really doesn't exist anymore. However, that doesn't stop me from giving you a special section about the RAF base, and that's coming your way right now. RAF Balderton was located between the Bottisford to Newark railway line and the old route of the A1, now the B6326. This image shows how things used to look in the days of the airbase. I've labelled some things so you can see what's where in relation to it. The base opened in 1941. Initially, it had grass runways, but by 1943, it had 3 tarmac ones. During World War II, it was used primarily as a troop carrier transport airfield. There were 2 aircraft hangars, 2 glider hangars, and 1 B-1 type hangar by 1944. It also featured 50 hard standings suitable for heavy bombers. It employed a lot of people, a total of 1,718. Part of the accommodation was temporary, and the officers' accommodation was Balderton New Hall. After the war, it was a munitions storage facility for a while. Today, the remains of the airfield are located on private property. Okay, and we're almost back where we began, because from the industrial estate and Southern School, that area there's a path on the opposite side of the road, brings you through the park where we were earlier. You'll remember this from near the beginning. Balderton Hall is behind those trees, and that's the village hall right there. So we have come full circle. That has been Fernwood. However, I've got one more thing I want to show you. Even though I can't get to any of Balderton Airfield, because obviously it's either under the quarry or it's fields these days, there is one thing which I can certainly show you to do with the airfield, and that is the memorial. There's a memorial to it, and to get to that we've got to drive south a little bit towards the A1. So let's go and check that out next. And here it is on the road out towards the A1 southbound. Here we go. It's a simple grey block that just reads, "In memory of Balderton Airfield, opened 14th of the 6th 1941, closed 31st of the 8th 1954, dedicated to all units and personnel based here, unveiled by Kenneth P. Bannerman, Director General at RAF Balderton Research Group, keeping RAF Balderton, one second, memories alive." 2019 is when this was put here. So there you go. That's pretty much all that's really left of the airfield now. Most of it, like I said, is either under a quarry or it's agricultural fields. So there you go. That's Fernwood. I do hope you've enjoyed it. It's another one down in Newark and Sherwood, and that's now 31 to go. So yeah, I've been Andy, otherwise known as the Village Idiot, and this has been the parish of Fernwood, and I'm out.